What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Shoot the Gap, the IDP Fantasy Football Podcast here at Fantasy and Frames. I'm your host, Jorge Edwards. With me, as always, is JT. JT, 2026, it's a fresh start. New season. How the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah, fired up. Love everything going. I tell you what, we talked about it on Dynasty 365 last episode. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, go back and watch that. It's going to be an interesting draft, rookies wise, for offensive guys. But man, I tell you what, I'm liking this IDP draft.
Oh my
I
God.
feel like we're going to get a really nice defensive draft here. So IDP leagues, I'm a little excited. I usually wait a little while on my defensive guys. I have a feeling I might be jumping in a little early this year on IDP players for rookie drafts.
You got a feeling, and the only prescription is more cowbell?
Absolutely. Before we get crazy into the show, I just had to bring this up real quick. Came across my X feed, James Vanderbeek, the actor who played our beloved Moxon on Varsity Blues, passed away. Prayers go out to him and his family. I love Varsity Blues. That movie came out my senior year of high school. I went to the very first showing in the theater. They came out, me and all my buddies that played football together went and watched that movie. It's core memory. Love that movie. I'm going to end up watching it later tonight. Just a great movie. Sad to see him go. Inspirational movie for any kid that wanted to play high school football and try to win a state championship. And then on top of that, I'm going to make a slight joke here. My girlfriend in high school at the time, her name was Darcy. And the most memorable outside of the football plays and speeches, and that was Darcy coming out in the whipped cream bikini to Joe Moxon after QB1 went down and Joe Moxon became QB1. And my girlfriend in high school was her name was Darcy, and we heard nothing but stuff about whipped cream bikinis all of high school. My senior year, about her wearing whipped cream bikinis. So it was a little awkward, but yeah, with her name being Darcy, and obviously anybody that watches the show Landman, she is the main female character in Landman now, which seems crazy. That this is now 25, 30 years later. But yeah, so I love Varsity Blues. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's just a great high school football movie, Texas high school football movie. James Vanderbeek, only a couple years older than me, like literally like 2 years, 3 years older than me. That movie came out senior year of my high school. So wanted to say something to him as family, just acknowledge that. Just all-time great movie, and sad he's gone too soon.
Absolutely. And then, of course, very popular with the Dawson's Creek show and then the crowd there. I know I broke it to my wife, and she was a huge Dawson, although she liked Pacey, a.k.a. Charlie Conway. So I don't know how broken up, but definitely, I think it was prostate cancer, F cancer, first of all. So yeah, definitely going to miss him. Varsity Blues, one of the most fun movies to watch. 100% co-sign here. We got Philip in the chat. What's up, Philip? He goes on to say IDP just makes it better. Love it, love it, love it. Aiden, who was the host, very first hosting job for Dynasty 365 last hour, which you can catch every Wednesday and every Thursday tomorrow, and then Tuesdays going forward until the draft at 10 p.m. Eastern. Jumps in the chat here on Shoot the Gap and says, am I allowed to ask you if you're a cokehead now that it's officially hour 2? So I was talking about Jalen Coker, not Coke or Coca-Cola. So yes, I am a Jalen Coker.
Jorge,
Okay. Yes.
New 5th t-shirts. Fantasy and Frames, I'm officially a cokehead. I'm a Jalen Coker fan.
Yeah, I'm trying.
No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. The wife's gonna be like, "What are you doing?" No, we're not doing that. That's out of bounds.
So fun fact. For a lot of you listening on the pod or watching live, wherever it is you're watching, and we would appreciate you giving us a follow and a subscribe, wherever that is. We love doing this stuff, and we do it for you. So one of the things that you may know about is that the Fantasy Football Expo, the tickets officially went on sale this past weekend. I knew I was going to go, and this is the first time my wife has been able to go because normally it's been like the second or third week in August, and that's when that conflicts with her. She's a teacher, so going back to school, like there was always like an issue with her showing up. Well, now they moved it to like the last week of July. This is the first time she's been able to go. So we talked to in-laws. We got coverage for our son and for our dog, and this is going to be the very first year my wife and I are going to be going to the Fantasy Football Expo, and I cannot wait. I'm super excited. She is actually the one who created Fantasy in Frames. She came up with the name when I was trying to launch a site and start writing about fantasy football. So I'm super excited. I know there are people out there who are going to the expo who have thought about bringing their spouses or their girlfriends or whatnot or boyfriends. Like, bring your significant other, and I guarantee you they're going to have a great time. And if anything, all the significant others can like form their own group. And it's like, well, we're not really into fantasy football, but we're here to support our partner. Great, cool. There's plenty of the stuff to do. You can go to a vineyard. There's like an axe throwing place nearby that we're actually going to be hitting up. Cleveland's not too far away. Go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, so much things to do to keep yourself occupied. So I'm excited to that.
Jorge, I am fired up to go again. I'm fired up to hang out with you. I haven't been in the last couple of years because my son, we have tackle football practice starts in July. So the last couple of years, I'm going to be able to skip one practice and get there. The last couple of years, because it was in August, we're in games. I'm the defensive coordinator and special teams coach, so I'm like, I can't miss the game. So so I'm pumped that they've moved it back. I will be there this year. It's been a couple years since I've been able to make it, so super pumped about it. Super pumped to hang out with you guys. Should be a fantastic time. If you've never gone, you don't even have to be a content creator or anything. Just like it's just super fun to hang out. There's drafts. The Hall of Fame is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
If you've never been to the Hall of Fame, I'm like one of those people. Like, I'm a museum guy, so I'll walk through and I'll read everything. Everybody's looking at me. They're like, they're way ahead of me. Everybody, my family's all way ahead of me, and I'm just still there like, what are you doing? I'm like, I read everything. I want to take it all in. So the Hall of Fame is just phenomenal.
Absolutely. And so, we're super excited. And I was going to save this for later in the show, but I just really want to get this out now because we ended Dynasty 365 with this news, and that is, we're in the heart of Dynasty season. JT here, you and I, on Wednesdays, we're going to be talking about, some Dynasty IDP strategy. We're going to be talking about the combine that's coming up. We're going to be talking about like what drills at the combine matter for the NFL and how does that translate into IDP. We're going to give you some prospect risers and fallers. We're going to do a combo startup draft with IDPs and offensive players. And then of course we're going to get you through the actual prospects leading up to the NFL draft. But we all know there's a segment of the population out there in fantasy football space that is all rookies all the time. I want it, hook it up to my veins. I need rookie content every single week. And we know it is extremely hard to find IDP rookie content. So we're giving you just that on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern going forward, right before the second episode of Dynasty 365. JT and I, second episode of Shoot the Gap. Between now and through the NFL draft, we are going to be talking about IDP rookie prospects. We're going to be talking about our IDP rookie prospect rankings. We'll be throwing in some IDP rookie mock drafts here. And, of course, we'll either do a mock draft, we'll put out the links out there in social media, and maybe we'll analyze the results of a mock draft, or maybe we'll do a live one, and we'll post it on the different social media channels so you can, like, jump in and draft with us. So a lot of, whether it's you want all rookies or you want the wide range of like, you know, combine, free agency, plus prospects. Like we have you covered here at Shoot the Gap talking, all this stuff. So we're really excited. And again, that starts next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Shoot the Gap part 1 for the week, and then back at our usual time the following night at 9 p.m. Eastern. JT, how excited are you for this?
Man, I love this. I love doing. I told you we were talking about this earlier. I love doing the pre-draft rankings and mock drafts, and then when the actual draft gets here, doing another mock draft pre-ranking, the post ranking, and then comparing them. I've noticed over the last 10 plus years of me playing Dynasty, especially IDP, you see big differences there. You get like, you'll see guys that you think should go pretty high. They end up going a little later, or they don't get a great landing spot compared to what you think they are. And then you can get really good value sometimes in the draft. Like everybody else doesn't see a good landing spot, and you're like, ooh, I had this guy ranked like as my 4th linebacker, didn't get a great landing spot. Everybody else is passing on him. I can get him in a good spot. I always think I think it's a good exercise to look at that and do that before and then after to kind of see where you rank the guys, because you'll see guys that you have maybe ranked pretty low, but then they end up going like 2nd, 3rd round. You're like, whoa, didn't see that coming. Or they ended up a guy that's like, oh, I'm an off-ball linebacker, got taken in the 3rd round, but he's got nobody in front of him. And you're like, oh, this guy's shooting way up my draft board. So I always think those things are really good. And then, again, you also sometimes have those guys that are like stud athletes. They maybe fall slightly in the draft, or they end up, oh, this guy's stuck behind somebody, wins his playing time. But then you can turn around and go, okay, I'm going to draft talent. I'll take that guy, even though he might not see time as a rookie. I'm going to take the talent over anything else and get a good deal on him in draft. So I love all of the pre-draft, everything that goes involved. I love the East-West Shrine Bowl. I love the Senior Bowl. I love the Combine. It's going to be like my 6th straight year at the Combine. I love it all. I love it all. The Combine, the draft. I'm going to the draft this year. Pumped about that. So it's just, I love everything leading up to this. I love the season, but I tell you what, this might be my favorite time of year. I just love this time of season, especially if you're a dynasty manager and IDP guy. I have a ton of both, playing offense, defense, so it's all one for me. So I know sometimes we think about that offense and defense, IDP offense. To me, I have so many leagues. It's the same thing. I'm talking about offense and defense at the same time. So it's all the same thing for me. I love it.
No, I'm with you right there. Speaking of things I love, I want to give a shout out to Jack Pill in the chat here, because I love what he put in the chat. I also hate him right now because now I'm craving them. And he asked here,
I was saying the same thing. I was like,
yeah. He's like, you guys like Wendy's? Completely on topic for the show, which we appreciate you, Jack. Yes, I do effing love Wendy's. To which JT, you put in the chat, junior bacon cheeseburgers are your favorite. And I also co-signed junior bacon cheeseburgers are the shit. I love them. I almost want to stop the podcast and just go to Wendy's right now to get a couple of junior bacon cheeseburgers.
I'm like, Jack, are you delivering? Is Jack delivering? Because I'll take Wendy's right now. I tell you what, before they made the 4 for $4, I always tell the story and people laugh at me. Before they made the 4 for $4 and it was just like the 89 or 99 cent menu, I would always go get a junior bacon cheeseburger for 99 cents.
Yep.
I would get the nuggets for 99 cents.
Spicy nuggets.
The small fry, the spicy nuggets, absolutely. The small fry for 99 cents, and then the drink for 90 cents. So it was like the 4 for $4.
Yeah.
And then they ended up adding the 4 for $4. I was like, oh, these are my people. Because I used to that was always my order every time I went to Wendy's. And then I pulled up one day and it was like, oh, the 4 for $4. I'm like, these guys get me. This is what I order every freaking time. I'm like, this is fantastic.
Love it. All right, folks. Well, as the show title says, tonight we're going to be talking about maintaining your success in your combo, meaning offense and IDP dynasty league. So we're talking about, okay, you finished at the top of your league. or you were top 3 in your league. Okay, I got a good thing going. How do I maintain that heading into 2026? We're going to talk about that. Before we get into that, though, let's get into some news and notes, shall we? You would think with the Super Bowl just being over that there wouldn't be a lot of stuff to talk about. And, JT, I'm sure you've heard it. I'm sure you've seen it on social media. Everyone complained this Super Bowl was boring. Super Bowl 60 was boring. Let me tell you, if you're an IDP junkie, it was not boring.
Phenomenal.
Seattle, it was great.
If you were betting IDP bets, Jorge, I'm not going to lie, I killed on some bets, and I almost absolutely – so Devin Witherspoon was my favorite bet. I took Devin Witherspoon plus 1,200 for a sack.
Nice.
Boom. Got it. He should have had 2, almost had 3. He had 2 sacks. He had a hurry that caused the fumble, that got the pick 6, and he had Nolan. I also had Devin Witherspoon MVP at plus 10,000. He was this close to being MVP of that Super Bowl. This close. He almost had 3 sacks, almost had a fumble, forced fumble that went the other way. He was right there. I was like, man, I was just watching the game. I was like, man, if Devin Witherspoon gets a pick 6, I think I'm going to win this thing. I thought I was going to get it. My guy, Devin Witherspoon from Illinois, gotta love him. 0-star recruit out of high school. Went to junior college, went to Illinois, and then turned around and ended up becoming a top 5 pick and now a Super Bowl champion. One of the greatest stories ever. But if you like defense, which we love defense.
Yeah, we shoot the gap. Yeah.
I told you, Jorge, we talked about it early on like in all the pods. I was like, dude, I think the team with the best defense is going to win the Super Bowl this year. Yep. I said it. I said this is a year where defenses have dominated in the big games. And what did we get? Seattle, best defense. I came down. I was like, Seattle, Houston, Patriots were 3 of my top teams defensively. I also had Denver in there because I was like, this. If you watch this season, dominant defenses. I felt like we were in the 90s again. Like dominant defenses taking over, like late 80s, early 90s, with the dominant defenses were winning you a championship. I felt like that's where we're at this year. And that's what we got. I mean, I know people were ripping on the offense. Oh, Drake May. Drake May's really good. I love Drake May. This Seattle defense was
just ran into a buzzsaw. Yeah, they just ran into a buzzsaw in Seattle.
They brought everything. They had everything together. I know people want to see high flying everything, and I like offense too. But man, I actually really enjoyed the Super Bowl. I know it was a great game. I know it was low scoring, but man, the difference for me, I always say this, Jorge. The difference for me is it good defense or is it bad offense?
It was good defense.
I love watching a game with good defense. A game with just bad play, bad offense, bad everything. Terrible. But if I'm watching a game where it's low scoring, but the defenses are dominating, I have no problem doing that because the defenses are doing what they're supposed to do. I had a feeling I had the under. I won a decent amount of money on the Super Bowl. I'm not going to lie. I had Seattle in the under in about 1 million different bets on top of my Witherspoon bet, which now looking back, I wish I would put $1 million on Devin Witherspoon for a sack, but I don't have $1 million. That would have been the greatest bet of all time. Right. But it was fantastic. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know what you thought. I know a lot of people were down on it because of the field goals, but I thought it was a really good performance by both defenses. I mean, Gonzalez, if the Patriots somehow won, Gonzalez played out of his mind. He probably prevented 2 or 3 touchdowns by himself. I mean, he played insane at cornerback.
Oh, he did. I mean, and you would think that they would shy away from the best cornerback on the Patriots, but like he was making play after play after play. And all I keep thinking about is like, man, he was right there for the Commanders a few years ago, and they just were like, you know what, we're not going to go with him. And I'm just
right, you're right. I thought the same thing. I was like, man, how many teams? Remember when he was in that draft? And this is why I love draft season because you always get to look back. Remember he was in that draft, and so many people were like, this guy should go really high. Like he's by far the best quarterback, and he just kept slightly dropping to the teens, and I'm like. I looked at it, I was like, man, the freaking Patriots are going to get him. I'm like, this is BS. Of course they are. They're going to get the best cornerback. And he was banged up last year, a little bit of injury, even some injuries this year. But man, when that guy is fully healthy, playing at the top of his game, he is absolutely freaking elite. He made some of those plays he made, laying out just fingertips,
Yeah.
getting on the ball to save a touchdown were unreal.
Yep. Speaking of insane, unreal defensive things, James Pierce Jr., WTF. You want to talk about somebody who, as a rookie, out of Tennessee, you remember last year during the draft, the Rams traded with the Falcons. The Falcons traded with the Rams to jump into the first round, gave up a haul. Everybody was saying, oh, who won the trade? Oh, it's the Rams, the Falcons, the Rams, the Falcons. And then James Pierce went on a roll during the season. And it's like, I knew that James Pierce was going to be worth the draft picks. F those picks. At the time, you would have been correct. That is not correct now because he's probably going to jail. I mean, you all have seen the news. You all saw all the craziness. It is just what WTF. I just stand by that. Well, let's get into some news that's actually going to be helpful for you, the fantasy managers out there. We've had several coaching changes. I don't know if you're aware of that in the NFL, and we've had a lot of changes at the defensive coordinator position. And so we figure we would do a little, rundown as of right now, all the defensive coordinator changes, and give you some little bit of a background, just a very brief background, and then we'll get into some discussion as far as different types of coverages and who could that actually help on their respective teams going forward in terms of a fantasy IDP perspective. So let's get into new Titans defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, bringing over that 4-3 base, running nickel most of the time, single high safety looks in that cover three, which single high safety for the Titans as of right now is Xavier Woods for ourlads.com, which could mean more work for who? Amani Hooker. That is a name that was brought up many times during the regular season on Shoot the Gap for many, many reasons that are very inappropriate and can only be brought up with Gary Davenport.
Gary Davenport's favorite player.
No. You've already said it. Might as well just go all the way. It's Gary Davenport's favorite hooker that you stole. So great job. This is also a good situation for Cedric Gray as well. And as long as he remains the de facto, that'll be to Cody Barton. But this is more of a Cedric Gray, Amani Hooker, upside here in this base 4-3, 4-2-5 nickel package here. One change that I thought is very interesting, and it actually ties a little bit into free agency and dynasty talk, as well as redraft talk, to be honest with you. Obviously, this is not a redraft only emphasis of our show today. But Jonathan Gannon, former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, going to the Green Bay Packers, operated in Arizona in a 4-3 base, but he actually employed a 4-1-6. So he had 6 defensive backs, 4 down linemen, and he played a majority of the time just one linebacker in the middle. So, that begs the question. Edgerrin Cooper, he's still, I believe, under his rookie deal. Quay Walker is going to be a free agent. For Dynasty, JT, if you're trying to make a move to acquire some linebackers here, it's not so easy because Quay Walker had a pretty good year his last year heading into free agency, and all of a sudden it's like, well, do they bring him back? And if they bring him back, who's going to be the true LB1 on this team? Is it going to be Cooper? Is it going to be, Walker? If you had to pick right now and you're trying to make a trade, trying to improve your linebacking situation, would you make a trade for Walker or Cooper?
I think I'm going after Edgerrin Cooper. I think the Packers are going to let Walker test free agency. I think Cooper's going to be their guy. I tell you who I really like in this mix, which seems kind of crazy, Xavier McKinney. The free safety, but he played some box. And now if you're going to play 5 or 6 DBs, there's a chance he plays a lot more box, which I love him playing box safety there. And I've got a ton of Xavier McKinney. So I do like that move. I actually think this is one of the best sneaky hires of the offseason because Gannon was really good. I mean, they won a Super Bowl. The Eagles won a Super Bowl with him at defense coordinator. He went to Arizona. That team was a mess. He actually, I thought, did pretty decent with what he had there, but we know how it is in the NFL. You don't win enough, you're out no matter what. I actually thought he was pretty good. I think he's a way better defensive coordinator than he is a head coach. Personally, I'm buying this Packers defense this year with him as a defensive coordinator. I really like it. I'm buying Adrian Cooper. I like McKinney, and we'll see who else they get in there. But if they get anybody else, man, I'm in on like anyone else who plays slot corner or box safety for this team. I think they can put up a lot of points in IDP.
Brandon, welcome to the chat. He says, would he be faster if his name was Quay Runner as opposed to Quay Walker? Well, love
Possibly.
it. I was going to give you a want for that, but you know what? That's clever enough. I'll go with that. That works out there.
I just think with what I think Quay Walker's got talent, but man, I feel like we've seen the writing on the wall for a while for the Packers. They don't love him. He's kind of a head case a little bit. He's kind of a problem guy. I could see them letting go. If he doesn't get a huge offer, I could see them matching something. But if somebody gives him big money, which you know some teams going to, I feel like they are, then I think the Packers let him go. Because I think he said earlier, Philip said McDuffie. I think McDuffie is a decent, for the price, would be a much better backup to Cooper in that side. And then I'm really mad at myself because I can't think of his name right now. But Missouri, they drafted Missouri's linebacker in the 3rd round 2 years ago, and I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to have to look him up. I'm going to look him up right now. I think he is a good backup for them. Let me find him real quick. Sorry. I can't believe I'm actually mad at myself. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah, you being a Mizzou fan, this is kind of surprising.
I know it's actually just why Hopper. Yes,
Tyrone
exactly.
Hopper.
So Tyrone Hopper is really good. A little bit undersized, but he's fast and quick, and in that kind of defense where he can cover a lot of the field, he's a good pass coverage linebacker. He moves. I think Hopper is actually, man, you guys, thank you for saving me on that. I felt totally like an idiot for not feeling it. Hopper, I actually think would be a good backup there to Cooper, especially if they wanted to go 2 linebackers. I think they'd go with both those guys because they were in the same draft class.
Love it, love it, love it. Let's head over to Christian Parker, Dallas, new defensive coordinator. They got rid of Eberflus for a good reason. Sorry, Eberflus, but that just wasn't working for the Dallas Cowboys. And so you got Christian Parker recently with Vic Fangio in Philly. And so what does that mean when you think about the Philadelphia Eagles defense? A lot of 2 safety looks, which therefore kind of like makes you wonder, like, who's the safety that's going to go off this week? I don't know. Who's playing the most box snaps? Well, weeks 1 through 3, it was this person, and then it was this person. A lot of uncertainty at the defensive back position. But, as we saw in Philadelphia, 2, off-ball linebackers are the case. And so, Donovan Wilson, for the Dallas Cowboys, probably not somebody I want to have on my bench. And I said that the right way. He obviously would not be starting for me, but not even somebody I would want on my bench. I will say this is where DeMarvion Overshown, his value starts to creep up a little bit because of this, because there is certainty at the 2 off-ball linebackers. And then DeMarvion Overshown and company, right? Is Kenneth Murray the guy? No. Jack Sanborn, darling, former Bears linebacker, came over to the Cowboys in free agency last year. Does he get an opportunity? I think, personally, as much as I want to see Jack Sanborn become a thing again for IDP managers, I think linebacker is a position that the Cowboys emphasize in the draft this year. And they bring
I think you're right. I would love to see Sanborn be the guy. All my friends that are Bears fans just love Sanborn. They're so mad he's not there anymore. But I think you're right. I think you could see the Cowboys definitely going linebacker. It was a little. It was a. I say a little. It was a big mess at linebacker last year for the Cowboys. They need help bad. Um, and like I said at the very beginning of the show, I really think this is a pretty nice deep draft. I would not be shocked to see the Cowboys go linebacker, off ball linebacker, multiple times in this draft. I can see them taking at least 2 to 3 off ball linebackers in this draft.
Right. Now we get to our nation's capital. Obviously, I have invested interest in this being a Commanders fan. Durante Jones, formerly under Brian Flores' staff there in Minnesota, bringing over a 4.25. We saw, sometimes they would even deviate from that, a sub package off that, where they, roll in more defensive backs and really give Blake Cashman carte blanche to basically be the guy who's running the show at the inside linebacker position. So it makes you wonder, does McGee step into the full-time role over Wagner? Does Wagner, does he stay with the team? Because I believe he signed a one-year deal last year. Do they draft an inside linebacker? Something to pay attention to. He during his press conference, Jones, and I caught it the other day. And the only reason I caught it is because, again, local guy living in the DC area, they were asking him, what is going to be your player alignment, aka your scheme? Where are these players going to line up for your defense? And all he said, and I thought this was actually pretty neat, he said, it doesn't matter where they line up, it's where they finish. And I thought to myself, F you, it's a cool response, great response, but F you, because now you're making it a little bit trickier to figure out who's the player you want to wait, especially during draft season, right? Obviously, in season, you start to see usage trends. Okay, things become a little bit more clear. But for, making moves in the offseason for Commanders defensive players or rookies that are drafted, but, so from a fantasy manager's perspective, upset about it. But from just a slickness and awesome uniqueness to the answering the question, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. It's like, oh, I want to know who to take, but I do like that answer. Here's the thing I like about this move. He was the passing game and defensive backs coordinator for the Vikings. Their secondary has been really good, even with older players, even getting new guys in there. They've been really solid the last couple of years. I like this Washington secondary. They're young. They've spent a lot of draft capital on them the last couple of years. I think getting a new inventive guy in here could really make this secondary hum. I mean, Mike Sandstrill, absolutely love him. Marshawn Lattimore, you got him. You got Quan Martin, love Quan Martin. You got Will Harris, Trey Amos. They've got a lot of young guys that were fairly high picks. A ton of second, first, second, third round picks in this secondary. It's really the youngest core of their team. So I think they're going to get some guys up front that are veterans are going to be good. But I really like in IDP leagues what he possibly could do with this secondary. So I'm interested in keeping an eye on these guys because I think what he did in Minnesota was really good. And those guys were ultra productive. I mean, we usually see one guy in the secondary, if you're lucky, is productive. And we saw at times 3 guys in Minnesota, 3 to 4 guys in Minnesota be productive fantasy players in IDP. So I'm hoping I get to see that because I like a lot of these guys on the Commanders and I have them on quite a few teams. I'm excited to see what he does with this defense.
All right, let's head over to Buffalo. We got Jim Leonhard, the new defensive coordinator there, coming from most recently the Denver Broncos. I believe he was their defensive back coach or played with the defense or coached the defensive backs, utilizing a 3-4 base. And so, your outside linebackers for the Buffalo Bills, like you're going to have Rousseau. You're going to have, I don't know, Bosa, definitely not Epeneza. I think he's, if Joey Bosa is playing over you, that's a problem because Joey Bosa is a shell of what he once was. You think about, the usage in the defensive back. I think whoever is going to be the nickel back, so Taron Johnson, you'd see an increase in role there in his ability because we saw what the Broncos did last year. They drafted Jadae Barron, and they played him a lot at nickel. And so he is somebody who I still have high hopes for. He didn't exactly blow anybody away per se, but you did like what you saw in limited snaps there for Denver. So definitely Tyron Johnson being the veteran. I think again we were talking about this throughout the season last year, and that is, you like your box safety when it comes to defensive backs. You like your box safeties, and you like your nickel backs. No, I'm not playing the music from Nickelback, but you get what I'm saying. You like those slot corners. So definitely a fan there. And then we get to the two remaining as of today defensive coordinators here. Let's go with Sean Duggar from Miami. This one's kind of tricky to figure out. Maybe JT, can you give the people a little bit of a background on Duggan?
Yeah, he's one of the younger guys in the league. Hasn't been around very long. He was at Boston College and then came to Green Bay as a defense coordinator. Hired as defense assistant, doing all that. He's like the youngest guy in the mix. Like, we don't know a lot about him. A lot of these other guys we've at least seen as former defensive coordinators or guys that were like the defensive, like head defensive coach underneath the coordinator who did a lot. He's the guy I probably feel like I know the least about. Now, he was with the Packers the last 2 years. The Packers defense has been, fantastic the last couple of years. It's going to be interesting to see kind of where he goes from there with Miami. That defense, had some great IDP players last year. Brooks, all the linebackers. They've got talent at defensive end. The secondary needs help. His main job was the secondary. So hopefully he can fix that secondary and figure out what it is. This, to me, is the biggest question mark among these defensive coordinators, in that we just aren't 100% sure what he's going to run. Is he going to do basically what they did in Green Bay, or is he going to go kind of his own way as a first-time defensive coordinator? That's going to be the interesting thing to me, to see kind of what he does, because he is the youngest, kind of newest guy of this group.
Nice. And then let's get into the last defensive coordinator here for the New York Jets. We have Mr. Brian Duker. What information you got on him, JT?
So Duker, the reason I kind of know him and have a little bit of knowledge, he originally started at University of Missouri, Mizzou, under Gary Pinkel. His staff was a defensive quality control coach, helped to lead their team to 2 SEC championship games. He then was with the Lions. So this makes sense now, because he was the Lions. He was under Aaron Glenn. He helped run the secondary, a secondary that has struggled at times, but 2 years ago when he was there was fantastic. He helped Kirby Joseph blossom into an absolute stud, a former Illinois player. Obviously, Brian Branch, absolute beast in the secondary. I'm guessing this seems like a familiarity thing for me. Like, Aaron Glenn knows him. He coached under him. He knows what Aaron Glenn wants, and to me, that makes sense that he brings him in. I have a feeling that the philosophy defensively isn't going to change much. I think that's why Aaron Glenn brought him in. He's like, hey, this is what I ran in Detroit. I expect them to run very similar with him. He's a younger guy as well. But I think you're going to see pretty similar to what the Jets have done in the past. Now the biggest thing for the Jets is traded a million guys away. Who can we count on in IDP on that defense is going to be the big question.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's start talking about why we're here. We're talking about maintaining success in your combo offense and IDP Dynasty leagues. Again, we talked about this earlier. A lot of you out there, it's very rare. It's not, there are exceptions to every rule, but like, it's very rare that people play in only IDP leagues, which I do, but I'm an IDP degenerate, so that makes sense, right? And it's more common, more often than not, that you find that a lot of leagues are both offense and IDP. So we're going to approach it from this perspective tonight. And for the sake of just like, putting out a scenario of how we're going to be approaching it, JT, I figure we'll take this from a super flex PPR tight end premium IDP, right? Because, when we talk about, things from a offensive only perspective, we're thinking about the PPR super flex and tight end premium. Let's throw on some IDP on top of that. And then, when we're talking about things from an IDP perspective, there are three main types of IDP scoring. There's a balanced scoring where like the tackles and the not so much the tackles. Tackles have their own consistency from scoring standpoint, but like the forced fumbles, the sacks, the interceptions, like those scores are the points allowed to those positions for those plays are fairly comparable. Tackle heavy, instead of having like a 1.5 tackle, you got 2 or 3 points per tackle. So obviously your linebackers and your box safeties are fantastic there. And of course, we talk about big play scoring, so you get your sacks and your interceptions. So we're going to cover things from multiple avenues here. So let me throw a question to you here. What piece of advice, JT, do you have when it comes to veterans on your fantasy roster this time of year in a combo league? Again, coming off of a dynasty championship or finishing near the top of your league, like, are you addressing offense first, defense first? Like, what is your thought process in a combo league?
Yeah, in a combo league, I want to look at where I need to improve offensively first. Where do I need to kind of fill in the gaps? And then depending on the scoring, my biggest thing is I always go back to my league and look at league scoring, overall performance, and I go position by position. I look at D tackle if I'm in a D tackle in cornerback league, D tackle, DN, linebacker, cornerback, safety. If I'm in a sleeper league that's just D line, linebacker, DB, I want to go in and look at the scoring. I want to kind of get an idea where guys finished, not only on defensive scoring, but where they finished compared to the offensive guys. So I can see, like, am I missing something somewhere? Is there a position that could be hitting for me that I'm just not thinking about, that's scoring more points than I would anticipate they're actually scoring? So that's what I always want to look at too. So I'll look at there. Now, me and you are always defensive back defenders. So we're always like, hey, we love DBs, still into DBs. A lot of people are not into DBs when it comes to Dynasty and IDP. So where I'm at is I want to look at IDP guys that are defensive backs that people might be willing to give up for not a ton.
Right.
So, and I'm going to say this, and this is probably too early. You might want to give it a couple weeks, maybe to the summer before you try to make this move. Devin Witherspoon was my number 1 or 2 IDP, depending on scoring. Not IDP overall, but number 1 DB. He was definitely my number 1 cornerback overall in IDP scoring going into this season. Now, a couple injuries, some things slowed him down. Didn't have the overall season that we wanted out of him, but you saw in the Super Bowl, this is a really good Seahawks defense, and they will use him in multiple ways. He will play that slot corner. He will blitz. He will do multiple things. That's the type of guy I want. In a cornerback-heavy league, absolutely I want him. Even in a DB-only league where you mostly want safeties, I still want a guy like that. So I'm going to test the waters on him. There's going to be a lot of people looking for draft picks, especially guys that didn't finish high in the league. You're the top. You either won, you finished in the top 2 or top 3. How can I improve that team? I'm going to go out and look and see if I feel really good about my offense. I'm going to start picking, see if I can find little defensive players I could just slightly make my team better. Can I go out and get a Devin Witherspoon for a 312, a 412? That's usually a little high, especially for a DB. I don't love this draft. I do like this draft IDP-wise better than I do like it offensive-wise. So I think you can wait on some guys and get some nice talent. But if I can take a guy like Devin Witherspoon, who I think is an absolute stud, who was a top 5 pick 2 years ago, if I can get him as opposed to a rookie IDP player, I'm making that move every time. I think I'm probably making that move if it's anyone but the top defensive end, top off ball linebacker, or top DB, and even then I'd be in the mix on still making that move for a guy like Devin Witherspoon. I think Love is another good guy. Since we're talking about Super Bowl, free safety technically, but we've seen him. His tackle numbers are good. Made a pick in the Super Bowl. Can I go get guys that most other people aren't going to necessarily value super high? And if my team's good, can I give up draft picks? Because teams are not good want draft picks. They want draft picks more than anything. Can I get someone like that from them? Can I get a veteran? Can I get someone who's going to help my IDP team on the IDP side for a draft pick that I don't necessarily know what I'm going to do with? And if I'm competing, I'd rather have a veteran on IDP every day of the week over a rookie. Right. Now, we have some stud rookies, right, Jorge? We've seen it. We've seen some stud rookies. On the defense side of the ball, it's not that often that they just absolutely blow up early on, right? I'd rather have a guy that I know I can count on pretty solid production. And if I'm coming off a championship, I'm trading away some draft picks, especially this year, to get some of those stud IDP players. Because I don't know how your leagues are, Jorge. I know we're in a couple together. But a lot of my leagues, people just don't draft. They don't think of IDP players as worth as much, right? So if I can kind of maybe steal a guy with a draft pick that I don't love, if I was looking at the draft and I'm like, I don't know what offensive guy I would take there. If I could get a better veteran IDP player, right. This out of any year, I'm probably making that trade. I'm trying to make that move.
All right, Phillips in the chat saying, what do you think about Malachi Moore? He's my DB 11 in Dynasty right now as we currently stand, so think pretty highly of him for the New York Jets there.
I think he's a buy. Malachi Moore, I think me and you are both on him. He's a buy. Like, go out and get him. Most people don't know who he is. The Jets have been bad. I think he's going to be a big part of their defense going forward.
In terms of, what I'm addressing, offense and defense, again, if it's a balanced scoring where there's not a lot of differentiation or rewarding impact plays like the forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, sacks, interceptions, then I'm addressing the offensive side of the ball first because I know I'm getting more bang for my buck, whether it's rushing attempts or in target volume and having that pay dividends, and especially in a tight end premium, definitely focusing on the offensive side of the ball. If it's tackle heavy, again, you could probably still take your offensive players here, but you could probably also take your elite linebackers, your veteran linebackers in startup drafts, for example, earlier than you would in a balanced scoring setting. Now, big play, right? If you're getting like 5 or 6 points a sack or 5 or 6 for interception, here's where, JT, you and we talk about a lot. We were saying this in our Discord, which, by the way, head over and check out the Fantasy and Frames Discord. We preach to the high heavens that elite defensive linemen in IDP fantasy football, there is a very, very quick fall off from every week starter to which rotational player am I filling a roster spot for this week? And unfortunately, that's the case. So if it's a big play scoring league, I am definitely wanting to get whatever elite defensive lineman I can earlier than I'd probably go like the first 2 rounds, offensive player, but then give me the Max Crosby, give me the Brian Burns, give me the Nick Bonitos, like give me, just give me the elites, because that's what you should be doing in big play scoring leagues, is go after those defensive players, those high-end defensive linemen in particular, early in your drafts, as well as.
Yeah, we had somebody jumped in the Discord and asked about Dynasty Best Ball, and I said, "Oh, Dynasty Best Ball, like absolutely go DN heavy with studs," because I explained to him I had a league that we started 22 players in Best Ball, and it was like the best guy. I was getting crushed at quarterback, but man, it was a high score. It was like a 6 point per sack. It was like another were 5 or 6 per fumble forced, and then fumble recovery, and then QB hits were like 3. Myles Garrett led me to the playoffs. Like, he was scoring me like 35, 40 points a week. Like, most weeks, like, those are huge. Look at that scoring, because if you're in a league like that, those guys, they're going to have a down week here and there. But in best ball, you can't replace them. You just can't replace those guys. So go after those high-end defensive ends, the guys that get sacks. Because a sack, strip fumble, fumble recovery can win you a week. One play can win you a week in that type of scoring, because they can score so many points on just that one play. So definitely look at that. I think that's a huge thing. Best ball for sure, but even just regular, like you said, Jorge, there's regular big scoring IDP. You do not want to be left with like defensive ends that are scoring you zeros every other week. You just don't want it. It crushes you. Crushes you.
I would hear that. I mean, rumor on the street is getting a 0 from any position is not a good thing. Let's get into our next question here, and again, we're going to talk about things from like researching, the incoming rookie prospect class, and how should we think about incorporating them into our roster in terms of like draft picks. Like, are we holding on the draft picks, like specifically this year, 2026? We talked about on Dynasty 365 the last hour. Not solid for offense outside of wide receiver, but defensively, a lot of good, especially a lot of top tier edge rushers. The conversation we had last hour again, like, are we moving rookie picks? Are we staying where we're at? Are we keeping our rookie picks? Are we trying to acquire more rookie picks? For me, I am trying to acquire as many rookie picks as possible, because I want to shore up my defense. Whether that is at end or lineman, linebacker, defensive back, I want to make, I want to build in redundancy, because, again, we're talking about maintaining success. I want to be a contender. I want to be a top 3 team. I want to be a champion in my dynasty league for 3, 4, 5 years, forever. As long as that league exists, I want to be at the top. So therefore, I'm not going to try and fill a roster spot and pass up elite talent. Like, I want all the elite talent, because you know what happens? Injuries. Boom. Swap in one piece, put in another. Oh, I'm good. I am stacked at this one position. But maybe I'm not great at linebacker, or I'm not great at wide receiver, or running back is shaky. And let's face it, running back is shaky for a lot of people out there. But in a combo league, hey, I got these really, scarce defensive ends that are super elite. I got a lot of them. Boom. Use these draft picks. Use these incoming rookies. Fill in holes on your offensive side of the ball. So, yeah, I'm definitely keeping all of my rookie picks this year for 2026. And, again, give me the defense, because that's where the value is going to be outside of wide receiver on offense.
Yeah, Jorge, I agree with you. This is one of those years where I probably would flip my strategy for most years. I wouldn't mind moving down and getting extra picks this year in IDP leagues. So, like, if I won the championship, I had 112, and I know somebody in my league's trying to trade up to get an offensive guy, and I'm pretty good on offense, I'm like, dude, trade me 2 seconds. Trade me a second or third in a pick next year. Like, I'm with you. I would actually trade back and try to get more picks because I like the defense. I like defense. If I feel good about offense this year, I feel like my team is pretty solid. I just won the league. I feel like I'm pretty set on offense. Let me reload with some stud young defensive players. Man, this is the year I'm like, oh, I'll move down and, like, I'll trade you the 112 for like the 2-3 and the 2-8 or something. You know what I mean? If somebody has like multiple second round picks, I would absolutely do that. Or even like, okay, I'm going to move down. Like, give me 3 picks. I'm going to send you the 112. Give me like the 2-2, the 3-2, and if they have another pick in the middle there, this is the year I would do that. Now, usually value-wise, it doesn't work out. But this year in IDP, I actually like that, because I know those guys, everybody's going to go offense. And I know I'm not going to take those guys anyway.
Right.
I want the more picks where I can just load up on the defensive players and get all the studs. And this is probably the one year I'm going to be looking at overdrafting IDP, to be honest with you. If I don't need offense, I'm probably going to be – this is going to be one of the first years where I'm like super high-scoring IDP leagues at 112. I'm probably going IDP instead of offense. I'm going to grab the number one – I'm going to grab Ruben Bain. Yeah. I'm going to grab Downs, Caleb Downs. I'm going to grab one of those guys because they're super high-scoring leagues on defensive side, and I know I'm good on offense. I want the best defensive players in the draft. So I definitely look at your scoring, but I like where your head's at on that. I think I'm willing to trade down and get extra picks and just go defense if you're not going wide receiver, which I agree with you. Wide receiver is the one offensive position I'd be shooting for. After that, I'd be like, ooh, I'll trade down and I'll give you one pick. I'll take 3 picks, and I'm going to take all defensive guys.
And of course, we're talking about things from, maintaining success, aka being a contender in your leagues. I love that you mentioned the 112. I would definitely take the 112 and trade that for more later round draft picks and load up on defense. So
if I could get 2 or 3 picks, get somebody a little desperate that see there's one offensive guy, maybe okay. So say you're in a league like you feel pretty good at QB, somebody like needs a QB and they're not good, and they're like, oh. Ty Simpson's sitting there.
Right.
They want to trade up to get Ty Simpson at one. So I'm like, all right, give me a couple picks. Give me multiple picks for that because I'm not going to use them. I know my team's good. Ty Simpson, no guarantee he's going to start as a rookie, especially if he's going 112 in your draft. Right. You got to assume he went like late first or early second round. Dude, I'll take those multiple picks and just go maybe 1 wide receiver and 2 IDP guys with those picks.
Like I'm sure, people are going to be chasing, running back early in the first round because you can get value at wide receiver in rookies. But if I had a chance to get like a Ruben Bain or a Downs or, I need a running back. So Jaden Ott, who I'm not really high on, and we can get into that on another show. Like, I'm taking Baines, right? I'm taking like you can have. Like,
dude, if you could trade your first runner and get Ruben and get Bain and Downs, dude, I'm sold. Like you get me that where I can get like a second. Like I don't know where you go in most of your IDP drafts, Jorge. Most of mine, typically you're seeing the top end if they're absolute studs, like a Will Anderson who went like 1-3. Or like you're seeing those guys go late second, early third. Then usually there's a bunch of offensive guys. And then you start seeing more IDPs go like 3rd round, 4th round. If I can make that trade and I can get like Bain and then Caleb Downs like in the 2nd and 3rd, I'm like, ooh, I feel like I won that trade.
Love it. And so for the final, point of this segment, and I think we've discussed this over the course of the previous 2, but like IDP managers right now, February 11th, pre-combine, pre-pro workout days, pre-NFL draft, are we trying to stockpile rookie picks to continue maintaining our success? Or are we going after veteran players? And just, for a point of reference, when we were talking about just offensive players on Dynasty 365, it was, let's get aging running backs, because people are going to want to get rid of them and they want to get the new hotness, even though I would not do that in this year's draft class for running backs. And therefore, if you're a contender, that's like the missing link to your, if you're also, suffering at the running back position. For IDP though, what position would you go after as terms of like a veteran, or are you avoiding veterans at this point? Again, February 11th, 2026. Are you avoiding veterans and you just give me all the picks? Give me all the picks.
For me, if I'm a team that either won or I finished in the top 3 in my league, I feel solid about my offense. I like maybe just had a bad week and lost. I'm looking to trade mid-round picks for possibly like linebackers that are older linebackers that just are steady Eddie. Right. Give me those guys that are maybe 32, 33, 34 that people are like, oh, I don't want them on my team. They're old. but you know you're going to get another year or two out of them. They're going to get you 120 tackles. They're going to you're just be like, plug that guy in. He's going to be solid every week. If I'm in the mix for the title, or I just won a title, I'm trying to repeat, I'm willing to give up that late third, that early fourth to give me. I'm just going to throw it out there just because it came off the top of my head because you're coming a Bobby Wagner.
Right.
Last year. Like, no, is he going to come back? Is he retire? I'm not saying necessarily trade for him right now, but like last year, that would have been a move for me. Like, okay, if you're like, oh, he's pretty old. If your team's not good, there is no point for you to hold a Bobby Wagner, right?
Right.
So you're like, oh, what's he going to do for me? Oh, if I can get most people look at if I can get anything for an old IDP player, I'll take it. I'll give you a 5th rounder for Bobby Wagner, right? I'll give you my 512. No harm in just throwing those out there. Get some of those older guys. Here's the thing for me too: is the older linebackers are the guys to go for because they don't have to be the most athletic; they just make plays. Our boy
Mario
Davis.
Yes,
Mario Davis, another perfect example of a guy like. Is he gonna be the sexiest player on the block? No. But you know what? If you're like, hey, I don't know how all your IDP leagues are, but most of mine are 5 to 12 5 to 7 rounds for IDP. Am I trading a 5-12 for Demario Davis when I know I'm in the mix? Like,
yeah,
I'm considering that. Absolutely. If I'm like, I got 2 or 3 good linebackers, he's going to be that guy. I can play flex play. I can play him in the bye weeks. Like, I'm absolutely considering that because to me, you're going, what guy are you taking in the 5th round that you can count on versus a guy that has been doing it for a decade plus and has shown you he's going to pretty much put up the same numbers for a decade plus. Like, I'm taking that guy. I'm taking the almost guarantee over like, hey, I like this young, and believe me, I like the young guy. I like taking the young guys. I like the rookies. But I've got burned a million times on guys I love that never made it. They just, I'm like, oh, this guy's great. I'm so pumped I got him in the 5th round and never saw the light of day. It happens all the time. Let somebody else have that hopium. Let them take that guy with the hopium. You take the guy that's performed. Take the guy that has done it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years straight. If you're a contender, it's worth it. Don't worry about the total rebuild. Keep trying to win.
110 and 11%. I know that's not really a number, but you get what I'm saying. Totally co-sign. All right, let's get into our last segment before we get out of here. Brand new here, the Shoot the Gap. Right?
Reminds me of junior high basketball. That used to be our opening song, like junior high basketball. We come in doing warm-ups. That's fantastic.
So during the regular season, this will be a segment that we'll add on to Sack Lunch at the end, where we're basically going to give you, a couple defensive linemen, a couple of linebackers, a couple of defensive backs that we're calling our shot on base of matchups. These guys are going to be the impact players for your weekly matchups. But for this exercise here, let's still stay with the Super Bowl theme. So JT, I'm going to ask you from Super Bowl 60. Now this could be a Seahawk, this could be a Patriot. Who do you think is going to carry over their success from this season and also how they performed in the Super Bowl to the beginning of the 2026 NFL season? Like, who's the IDP for either team that you are really like, you know what? Lock me into them now.
I hate to sound like a broken record, but my guy is Devin Witherspoon, man. I just think he has so much room to grow. This guy's only played football for, I think it's 5 years. I think he has 5 years of actual football in his life. He just gets better and better. Guy is a dog. He plays hard. If you're going for a DB, Devin Witherspoon is my guy. I love him. outside of Devin Witherspoon, I tell you what, a guy I was pretty impressed with this year, especially down the road. Outside of Witherspoon, Nick Amanwari, I just talked him up nonstop last year, and I'm mad I didn't take him in more leagues. Oh, he was awesome. But Drake Thomas, I like Drake Thomas a lot. I think he proved that he can actually be a pretty full-time linebacker in the NFL and be solid. He was one of the tops in tackles for loss this year. Former undrafted free agent. He really was solid for this team. I know, like, I don't know if you thought the same thing as me, Jorge, coming in the year, but
Tyrese
I
Knight.
actually, Tyrese Knight. I thought Tyrese Knight was going to be the guy, right? We kind of like he kind of hit last year. We know Ernest Jones is like kind of the guy gets all the tackles. I think Drake Thomas actually has like a legit staying power. So I really like those three guys. And then I know you said one, and I just went off the deep end. If you're in a defensive tackle league, Byron Murphy, man, 2 sacks in the Super. Byron Murphy in a defensive tackle league, I think he is starting to. Watching him at the end of the year, he is starting to move in that DeForest Buckner type of range. If you're in a defensive tackle league where you're like, oh, he's an Aaron Donald, DeForest Buckner, he's like that top 3 guy that separates you, right? You know, like when we just talk about tight end premium, like get those top 3 or 4 guys. Defensive tackle leagues, man, getting those guys that absolutely can rush the passer and get sacks is so huge. Man, I thought he was only a run stuffer, honestly, early in his career. And I know he's still real young. Man, I bet you he's on a lot of free agent wires.
Right.
I bet you he is. I'm gonna, like, as soon as all my free agent wires open up on any defensive tackle start league, I'm gonna start looking for him because, man, I think he really impressed me in the playoffs. Man, he was so good. He's so huge. He's huge. He's so quick for how big he is. It's crazy.
Love it, love it, love it. I am going to go. I'm going with Nick Emenwari. We saw him start the season or middle of the season at Nickelback. And, I know I'm not playing Nickelback. There are copyright issues we got to deal with here on Shoot the Gap. Whoop, there it is. We're not.
Yes, but that's all right.
But Nick Emenwari, again, South Carolina rookie last year, going to be entering year 2. Once you started seeing him get more box snap usage, you saw the fantasy production, and it correlated using Fantasy Pros IDP scoring. He finished the season tied as the defensive back 5 overall in points per game. So again,
Jorge, that's mind blowing, right? Like to see where he started the year. I know we talked about him a lot at this time last year. I saw him at the combine, and I was like, holy shit, this guy is just a crazy athlete, right?
Right.
The fact that he kind of got off to a slow start and finished the way he did, man, I'm upset that I missed out on him in a few leagues. I saw a couple leagues, somebody picked him up before we couldn't pick players up before the playoffs started, and I was like, how did I not know he was on agent wire? I was like, why? Dude, I was just kicking myself. I think he has a shot to be a legit stud. I think this Seattle defense, I think people better be ready. This Seattle defense has all the makings of an absolute beast defense for the next couple of years.
100% agree. All right, folks, that's going to do it for tonight's episode of Shoot to Get. As a reminder, head over to fantasyandframes.com. Check out all of our latest article content. Steve Hungartner, aka Real IDP Hunter, that's his Twitter handle. Now he used to be IDP Hunter, but now it's Real IDP Hunter, which brings me to a very important note for all you all on Twitter watching or going back, whether you're live or you're going back and rewatching. A lot of people getting locked out of their accounts on Twitter because they're
a lot of scams right now. A lot of scams. I've got probably 10 messages from people that we know well that someone hacked their account and sent me like, "Hey, vote for me to be the podcast of this Google
Yeah.
thing." I'm like, "Oh no, they got hacked."
This is exactly why you need to get two-factor authentication activated on your phone. You know, and if you don't, I don't. So I pay for the check mark, so I make sure I get my security features. I don't know if that's on the free version of Twitter that you can get two-factor authorization, but if you spent years cultivating a following and you have thousands of followers and you're at risk of giving all that away, like that's a lot of time you spent trying to build a following. Like, don't throw that away. Like, take security precautions, please.
Oh, it's brutal, and it's not easy to get back. People think like, oh, I can just like make a complaint and get my thing back. Oh, no. Well, it happened to me on Instagram a couple years ago. No matter what I did, I couldn't get my account back. I was screwed. I had to start a whole new account, lost everything I had on there. So be careful, people. Watch out for the scammers because they're everywhere.
So like Steve, unfortunately, he lost his account. So now he is real IDP Hunter, which sounds pretty cool. Sounds like the real Ghostbusters, which Steve would appreciate that reference. Real IDP Hunter. He, prior to the Senior Bowl, did a 3-article series where he was giving an early look at defensive lineman, defensive back, and linebacker. And of course, he's going to be doing stuff for us article-wise, post NFL Combine, right before the NFL Draft, the final look at these IDPs. And then he's also going to be doing after the NFL Draft, our IDP rookie fallout, which IDP rookies fell into the right situation, which ones did not, so on and so forth. So we got you covered on that front, on the article front. We actually also have our IDP Dynasty rankings up there right now. Obviously, things change once we get to free agency, and obviously when we get after the NFL Draft. Does a rookie come in and supplant a veteran? That's going to adjust the rookie situation or the dynasty value situation there. And so another piece of news is that on offense, we have our dynasty rookie rankings. And for those who are looking for dynasty rookie IDP rankings, talk to the people over at Fantasy Pros. They're working on making it possible for all of us rankers to not only do offense rookie rankings, but IDP rookie rankings, and that should be enabled in the next few weeks. And so you should be seeing some IDP rookie rankings over at Fantasy and Frames. So check that out. And again, remember, Shoot the Gap is now twice a week through the NFL Draft, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, and then right back here the very next day on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern with JT and myself. So a lot of great stuff going on here. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in to Shoot the Gap. We're glad to be back here to kick off 2026 with you. JT, before we get out of here, anything you want to tell the listeners?
Hey, we're going to be doing some mock drafts, looking at some stuff. IDP rookies are the hardest thing to find in this space. To have people talking about IDP rookies, we're going to be bringing to you. We're going to bring you some rookie mock drafts on IDP side. The combo, offense and defense, so hard to get. I know when I first got into IDP, I couldn't find anything that was offense and defense combined rookie mock drafts. We're going to bring that to you coming here in the next couple months. So keep an eye on that. We're going to bring you the rookie rankings. Follow Steve, man, IDP Hunter. He is, if you have no idea, the real IDP Hunter. If you have not looked at his articles yet that he has written for Fantasy and Frames, do it right now. You'll already know 75% more than anyone you know about IDP rookies. Like, he has crushed it on that. And then him and me both combined, we're going to be giving you a lot more after the combine. So once the NFL combine happens, we're going to have even a better idea where these guys stand. And then we'll bring you even more once the draft happens.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it here on Fantasy and Frames Wednesdays. Thank you very much for tuning in at 8 o'clock for Dynasty 365 and sticking with us here on Shoot the Gap. We'll see you on Tuesday. Y'all have a great rest of your week.